Let Minnie Steal Your Joke started in 1984 and quickly became a Nashville Now favorite. Live on stage, Minnie told 5 jokes submitted by her fans, and the audience picked the winner. Here, for the first time on video, Minnie Pearl tells the best jokes selected from her greatest moments on the show. You'll laugh out loud for an hour of solid, old-fashioned humor.
So I want you to introduce her now as you would at the Opry, would you?
I know you're going to enjoy this little lady because everyone that ever has seen her work enjoys her. She came from Grinder Switch, Tennessee a few years ago and told the solemn old judge at the Grand Ole Opry she wanted to do a little talking, and she's been talking ever since. Would you make her welcome, please? Cousin Minnie Pearl!
You see, tonight we begin a new segment on Nashville Now called Let Minnie Steal Your Joke. And Minnie will be reading jokes already sent in by viewers, and our judges have selected 5 of the best jokes, and we're going to let you folks here in the audience, here in the Gaslight Studio, select the best of the 5.
This is from Dorothy F. Rink in Salt Lake, Utah. A little boy says, "Mommy, when we're born, where do we come from?" And the mommy says, "We come from dust." And the little boy says, "Well, when we die, where do we go?" And the mommy says, "We go back to dust." And the little boy said, "Well, Mommy, either someone is coming or going under my bed." All right, this next one is the 4th one. And it is from Violet Snyder of Selbyville, Delaware. 2 men were in the intensive care room of a hospital. One said to the other, "What takes you here?" "Heart failure," he answered. "What's your problem?" the other asked. "Sinus," the man answered. "You must mean sinus," answered the other man. "Oh, no, I was with another man's wife and he's seen us." All right. This is the last one, number 5, and it's sent in by Miss Joyce Willard of Kansas City, Kansas. There were 3 couples all sharing the same motel for their honeymoon.
Oh, my.
Well, don't get upset, I'm not through. One morning, they all 3 met for breakfast together. Each of the husbands decided to show a little affection for his bride by outdoing the others. The first husband leaned over to his wife and said, "Please pass the sugar." Sugar? The second husband leaned over to his little bride and said, "Please pass the honey, honey." And the third husband, a meek man, not wanting to be outdone by the other 2, leaned over to his new little wife and said, "Pass the bacon, pig."
Oh. That's terrible. But they got a divorce right away, didn't they?
All right, now we're gonna.
Now we're gonna see if this works. We're gonna see how well your memories are.
You ready?
How much of this you've retained?
All right, we had 5 jokes.
Okay.
And I'm going to call out the punchline, and you applaud for that meter. Where's the meter?
It's over. We've got it over there. We've got it.
Number 3, coming and going under the bed.
Okay.
All right. The next one was the hospital one, and the punchline was, "He's seen us." And the last one, number 5, was bacon pig. Well, I'm afraid she won. What was her name? Let me see what her name was.
Right here.
Okay.
This is number 5.
She was number 5, and it's Miss Joyce Woolard of Kansas City, Kansas.
Joyce.
The first one is from Marie Glaze of Richland, Mississippi. She says, this is number one.
All right.
I was caring for a new granddaughter just home from the hospital. I sent my 5-year-old grandson to the corner drugstore for a box of diapers. The clerk handed my grandson the box and said, that will be $1.50 for the diapers and 8 cents for the tax. Never mind the tax, my little grandson replied. My grandma puts them on with safety pins.
That's cute. That's cute.
3 women were talking about the inconvenience of growing old. Sometimes, one of them confessed, when I go to my refrigerator, I can't remember if I'm putting something in or taking something out. Oh, that's nothing, said the second woman. There are times when I find myself at the foot of the stairs wondering if I'm going up or if I've just come down. Well, my goodness, explained the third woman. I'm certainly glad I don't have any problems like that. And she knocked on wood. Oh, she said, starting for the door. There's somebody at the door. All right. A family moved to a new location. The mother could not find her 5-year-old school trousers in the packing crates. With his promise to be careful, she sent him off in his good trousers. Later, while feeding the baby, she heard a noise at the front door. Thinking it was her little son, she called out, "Come in, honey, and take your pants off." Not hearing anything for a few minutes, she went to the door, not finding her son, but the mail was scattered all over the door. Oh, mercy. That mailman got a shock, didn't he? All right, now.
You ready?
I'm ready. My grandma puts them on with safety pins.
All right, coming up now, number 3.
There's someone at the door.
All right, we'll have one more, number 5.
Number 5. The mail was scattered all over the floor.
Well, Minnie, I believe the mailman joke won the day here on Nashville
That's
Now.
right.
What are you doing, Roy?
I just kind of straightened her skirt out for a little.
Roy's dangerous tonight, I'm telling you.
Did you see him? Did you see him blush a few minutes ago?
See, I'm upstaging you, kid.
Oh yeah, I know. You're sitting behind me.
I didn't know what she asked you.
She was singing a song to him, stating that she was having his baby.
Oh, my word.
Not true, Minnie.
That's caused many an anxious moment.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it.
Nobody like him. A father whose looks are not such as to warrant the breaking up of all existing statues of Apollo tells this
My
on...
God, what did you just say?
Did you bring
Well,
that
he didn't look so good.
Run
Let's put
that
it
by again real slow.
tells this on himself. My little girl was sitting on my lap facing a mirror. After gazing intently at her reflection for some minutes, she said, "Papa, did God make you?" "Certainly, my dear," I told her. "And did he make me too?" Taking another look in the mirror. "Certainly, dear. What makes you ask?" "Seems like to me he's doing better work lately." The big-mouthed frog went out one day to take a survey of what animals feed their babies. The first animal he came to was a giraffe. He said, "Mrs. Giraffe, what do you feed your babies?" She said, "Well, usually I feed them leaves off the trees." And he said, "Oh, really?" He moved on along. The next animal he came to was a gorilla. He said, "Mrs. Gorilla, what do you feed your babies?" And she said, "Well, usually I feed them bananas." He said, "Oh, really?" He hopped along, and the next animal he came to was the alligator. He said, "Mrs. Alligator, what do you feed your babies?" And she said, "Well, usually I feed them big-mouthed frogs." And the big-mouthed frog said, "Oh, really?" Oh, really? That's
Visual joke.
That's one Jamie Mandrell tells. That's Barbara's child.
This is joke number 5 coming
This
up
is
here.
joke number 5. John Caddell, C-A-D-D-E-L. Chickashaw, Oklahoma.
Chickasha.
So,
You have played there?
Chickasha.
So, now that's not
What?
right. That's Canadian. He's telling me that because I called Oshawa.
Oh.
Oshawa.
Well, now this is the last one, number 5, by John Caddell from Chickashaw, Oklahoma. "You've got no willpower," nagged Dugan's wife. "Now look at Goldberg. He stopped drinking and he stopped smoking." Dugan roared out, "I'll show you who has willpower. We'll have separate rooms from now on." This arrangement lasted several weeks. Then one night there was a rap on Dugan's bedroom door. "What is it?" he called out. "It's me," said Mrs. Dugan softly. "I just wanted to tell you, Goldberg's smoking again." Joke number 1. "Seems to me he's doing better work lately." Oh, really?
That's number 4.
That's number 4. And number 5, Goldberg is smoking again.
Oh, well,
That's the one we said would win.
Goldberg gets it.
How would it look on rap?
You're kidding. Let me see.
It looks great on you. This one we're going to send a T-shirt to her, but her joke wasn't as funny as the way she led up to it, so we're just going to read how she led up to it. She says, this is from Donna Marshall at Versailles, Missouri. She said, "Dear Minnie, I was going to mail you my joke like they said on TV, but I couldn't get a stamp big enough for my husband." This is number 1 from Ron Murray, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. A very ambitious lieutenant in the Army wanted to impress everyone around him with how busy and efficient he was. He had his name painted on the door of his new office and spread papers all over his desk. Hearing footsteps coming down the corridor, he grabbed the telephone and carried on a loud and vigorous conversation. "Yes, sir, I'll handle that. I'll pass it along to the general this very afternoon. Yes, sir, you can count on me, sir." Looking up, he barked at the corporal standing in the doorway. "What do you want?" replied the corporal. "To hook up your telephone, sir." This is from Mrs. Edna Puckett in Tazewell, Virginia. 2 old friends, Sally and Luella, met in the street one day. "I'm going to have triplets," Sally said. "Oh, how nice," said Luella. "And you know, my doctor tells me that triplets are conceived only once in every 3 million times." 3 million? Good gracious, Sally. When'd you get time to do your housework? This is from Margie Lorig in Amarillo, Texas. One day while looking down on earth, the Lord said to St. Peter, "There sure are a lot of people on earth lying, stealing, committing adultery, killing. What am I going to do with them? But then, there are a lot of good people down there. I think I'll sit down and write all those good people a letter." And Ralph, do you know what he said in that letter? What do you think he wrote in those letters?
Well, Minnie, I don't know.
You didn't get one? "I just came in here to hook up your phone, sir." The third one is, "Whew, when did you find time to do your housework?" And number 5 is,
I don't know. Was it Mike Donegan is our official reader of the meter, the applause meter. He says number 5. I thought it was 3.
I thought it was 3.
Were you in Roy Acuff's show at that time?
No. I wasn't doing. I had just started to do Minnie Pearl. I was not Minnie Pearl. I was just doing Minnie Pearl.
You mean you were doing a comedic act?
No, I was doing Minnie Pearl, but I hadn't gotten on the air.
Okay.
And I had been doing it just for kicks, around. And then these nice people with the Pilots Club in Aiken, South Carolina, of which she was a member of, they asked me to come back and do Minnie Pearl at the old Highland Park Hotel in Aiken, South Carolina. I got $25 for it. That's a lot of money.
1939.
Why, sure. That's more than anybody knew about making it in one night. And I went back and I found my first costume down on a side street in Aiken, South Carolina. And the whole costume probably cost, well, it couldn't have cost over $10 because that's all I had.
You mean the Minnie Pearl costume?
Yep. Bought a hat and a cheap yellow organdy dress. I weighed 110. I had to stand twice to make a shadow. This cute young lady stepped on the drugstore scales and was aghast at what she saw. She took off her coat and tried again. I've done that. The results were still unsatisfactory, so she took off her shoes. Then she found out she was out of coins and started to leave. A young man was standing nearby and stepped forward. "Don't stop now," he said. "I have a handful of coins."
I like that. That's cute.
All right. The next one is, the number 2 is from Joyce May Berry, Manchester, Ohio.
Up in the back, all the Buckeyes.
You know what they're with? You know what that bunch is?
No.
You're either the band or the choir. Which is it?
I couldn't tell.
Her husband was a heavy snorer. And somebody suggested as a remedy that she tie a ribbon around his nose the next time he snored. In the early hours of the morning, he returned from a meeting, went to bed, and began to snore loudly. His wife entered the room, tied a big blue ribbon around his nose, and much to her relief, he stopped snoring immediately. The next morning, his wife said, "Where were you last night?" "I don't remember," he said, then saw his blue ribbon in the mirror. "But wherever it was, I won first prize." All right. This is from Nancy Castle, Nipper, Kentucky. That's a new one on me.
Nipper?
Nipper.
Like the RCA dog.
Oh, is his name Nipper?
Yeah.
Well, I never knew that. You just know more things, don't you?
Just ask me, Minnie.
He'd never say what I want him to. This is Nancy Castle. A wealthy woman commissioned an artist to paint a mural of thoughts, thoughts on Custer's last stand on a wall in her home. She then left for a month's vacation. When she returned, she found the mural, a cow with a halo around his head, and a group of Indians picking cotton. She looked at the artist and said, what's that supposed to be? And the artist said, "That's what Custer was thinking at his last stand." He thought, "Holy cow, look at all those cotton-picking Indians." Don't stop now. I've got a handful of coins. Number 2, wherever it was, I won first prize. Number 3, holy cow, look at all those cotton-picking Indians.
Minnie, I believe the winner is number 3.
That's wonderful.
You
You know that story about the fella had laryngitis and he went in the drugstore and he said to this girl behind the counter serving ice cream, he said, do you have strawberry? And she said, yes, I have strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla. He said, oh, you have laryngitis too. She said, no, just chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. A couple of years ago in Akron, Ohio, I visited a hospital and was in a room for expectant fathers. There was one fellow there I knew played professional ball, but I didn't know who he played for. Just then a nurse came in and said to him, sir, your wife has just given birth to twins. He said, how about that? And I play ball for the Minnesota Twins. Another nurse came in and said to the fellow sitting next to him, sir, your wife's just given birth to triplets. He said, how about that? And I work for the 3M company. This old boy sitting next to me started reaching for his hat. I said, where are you going? He said, to find a place to lay down. I work for 7-Up.
I like it. That's funny.
That's a cute punchline.
You know, I deliberately do not listen to the jokes before the show because I want to react.
Oh, we have all kinds of conversations, though, don't we?
Yeah, but we don't talk about the jokes.
No, we don't talk
because I don't want to hear before the show. I think that's pretty funny.
That is, it's a cute joke. All right, this one is too. They're all good tonight. This one's from Alan Swartz of Ashland, Ohio. The judge asked the woman why she wanted a divorce. All my husband wants to do is make love, she said. Well, most women would be happy about that, said the judge. That's just the trouble. They are. She replied. Whoa! All right, and this is the one from the last one.
Who was number 2 from?
The number 2 was from Alan Swartz in Ashland, Ohio.
Okay.
I don't believe I ever played Ashland, Ohio. I played everywhere else in Ohio and enjoyed every minute of it. This one is from Tyson Riley. An old preacher was telling his flock about King Solomon. After he had described the many palaces and so forth, he told them that King Solomon had 1,000 wives and fed all of them ambrosia. At this point, one of the good brothers said, never mind what he fed them, what did he eat? I worked for 7-Up. Second punchline is, that's the trouble. They are. And the third punchline is, what did he eat?
Minnie, I think 7-Up is the winner tonight. Number 1.
Oh, I was tell you this, speaking of dear friends. My dear friend Roy Acuff called me last night, and he said that he was worried about my throat. Isn't that nice of him?
That he would worry about you?
He was worried about my throat.
Yes. Well, you see, he loves you like you love him, so that doesn't surprise me.
But to have somebody care, you see, that's what life's all about. And I think I talk too much about things like this, but I think to know that somebody cares in our business or any other business or anywhere, to know that people care means a lot.
Sure does.
Oh, boy.
Helps you meet each day, doesn't it?
Number 2 is from Joe Ledbetter, Aurora, Colorado. And it says, there was the only single girl in the office who arrived one morning and began handing out cigars. What's this all about? Asked the fellow workers. She flashed a diamond ring and exulted. It's a boy, 6'4" and 200 pounds. An old man and old woman was sitting in their rocking chairs, just a-rocking away on the porch of the rocking chair old folks' home, when the old man turned to the old woman and said, guess how old I am? The old woman looked at the old man and said, take your clothes off. He did, and she looked him up and down and said, you're 82. He said to her, well, that that's amazing. How'd you ever get that? To which she replied, you told me yesterday. I still go back to that one where that old man said to that other old man, said, I ought to know you. What's your name? And the old man said, do you have to know right now? I'm getting to that stage fast, I'll tell you. This is oh, Lordy. This one's number 5, and it's from Art Weber, Waterloo Highway. Played there, too, on a rainy Sunday afternoon. That afternoon, nobody came. That night, business really fell off. After many sleepless nights, Roy dragged himself to the doctor, who told him, you need to relax, and instead of counting sheep, recite each part of your body and tell it to go to sleep. Before you get head to toe, you'll be asleep. That night he gave it a try. Head, go to sleep. Arm, go to sleep. Fingers, go to sleep, and so forth. He was down to his ankles when his wife walked in wearing a new negligee.
You want to quit there?
Roy shouted, wake up, everybody! It's a boy, 6'4" and 200 pounds. You told me yesterday. Number 5, wake up, everybody!
I think on number 5, everybody got ahead of you. Sunday is Minnie and Henry's 39th wedding anniversary, and I want to get Henry out here. Henry! Henry!
Come out here.
Come on. I want you to meet the man behind the lady.
Get one of those pet critter kisses.
Somebody ought to get a picture of this. This is very unusual.
Yeah, Henry does not like to be on television.
I don't have too much experience.
You're supposed to hold that up in front of you. That is a microphone.
But I talked to him, and I said, this lady loves you, and we want you to come out and be on this show tonight.
He says he's like son.
Oh.
I am. 39 years.
Where did you get married?
We got married at the West End Methodist Church here in town.
Here in Nashville.
At 4:30 on Sunday afternoon. And at 4:30 on this Sunday afternoon. Shut up. He said, was I with you? Listen, I want to tell you that at 4:30 this Sunday afternoon, I'll be saying I love you just like I did then.
Oh, that's... You know what he said?
He said, everybody wake up. This is from Joan Greer in Eston, Pennsylvania. One day a cowboy was out riding on the prairie when he spotted an Indian lying down with his ear pressed to the ground. You know this one?
No.
The cowboy rode up and dismounted, and the Indian said, wagon come, pulled by 4 horses, man and woman in front of wagon, 2 children in back of wagon, donkey and cow tied to back of wagon. The cowboy said, do you mean you can tell all that by putting your ear to the ground? The Indian replied, no, they run over me 3 days ago. Oh, me.
All
This
right.
one is from Pat Nolan in Cincinnati, Ohio.
This is number 4.
Yeah, that's some of my buddies. They were in the museum today. I have a museum.
You remember everybody's name?
Not everybody's, but I do a few.
I see.
Like you remember beautiful women's names,
Uh-huh.
don't you?
Yes, I do. It's the reason I always remember yours.
Well, forevermore. Heavens to Betsy. I
No,
always...
it's Minnie. You can't fool me.
A wife slaps her husband. Her husband asks, "What's that for?" The wife says, "For being a lousy lover." Husband thinks a minute, then slaps her real hard.
Oh, I know what's
Wife
coming.
says, you know that one. Wife says, "What's that for?" And the husband says, "For knowing the difference." Number 5, Roy Biggs of Jacksonville, Arkansas. Now, I never heard of Jacksonville, Arkansas.
Somebody
That's
back
some of my
there.
buddies from
Somebody
Arkansas.
back
They
there
were in there
heard of
today, too. A man called the hospital and told him to send an ambulance, that there was a terrible accident at 3rd and Kayanga.
Where?
The dispatcher said, "Spell Kayanga." The man made several attempts, then hung up. A few minutes later, the dispatcher received another call saying there was a wreck at 3rd and Scott, spelled S-C-O-T-T. The dispatcher said, "Wait a minute, didn't you just call and say the wreck was at 3rd and Kayanga?" The man said, "Yeah, but I couldn't spell Kayanga, so I drug him a block." They run over me 3 days ago. Number 4, for knowing the difference.
All right, we've got one more now.
Wait a minute, we got another one. Number 5, I couldn't spell Kayanga, so I drug him a block.
Well, just when I thought 4 had won it, 5 won it.
Well, number 5 won it. Well, Mike, you lost that bet. I told y'all to let your preacher read them first. A rich man was determined to give his mother a birthday present that would outshine all the other gifts that she had ever received. He read of a bird that had a vocabulary of 4,000 words, could speak in numerous languages, and sing 3 operatic arias. He immediately bought the bird for $50,000 and had it delivered to his mother. The next day he phoned. "What did you think of the bird?" he asked. She replied, "It was delicious." 2 women were having a conversation on the bus. One said, "You know, tomorrow's my husband's birthday." The other said, "How nice. What are you getting for him?" And the other lady said, "I don't know. Make me an offer." A husband and wife had retired for the night. About 2 a.m., the phone rang, and he picked it up. "How the heck should I know?" the man said into the phone. "That's 1,000 miles from here." He put down the phone and went back to sleep. The next morning at breakfast, he said, "Can you beat that, honey? Some fella called up in the middle of the night and wanted to know if the coast was clear." It was delicious. "I don't know. Make me an offer." Wanted to know if the coast was clear.
Well, that's an old joke.
Let me tell you something. It's the funniest thing. Mike Donovan and I picked these jokes out, and we have been interested to notice that it's almost always the ones at the end, and we don't pick it that way. We just go through them and say, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. But toward the end is when they usually think they're the funniest, and I don't know why.
The hotel served 2 private luncheons one noontime, one to a group of clergymen and the other to a meeting of wholesale liquor dealers. The liquor dealers ordered a special dessert, watermelon soaked with brandy, rum, and Benedictine. The manager of the hotel discovered to his horror that there'd been a mix-up, and the spiked melon had been served by mistake to the ministers. What did they say? He asked the head waiter. Were there many complaints? They didn't say a word, the waiter reported. They were too busy putting the seeds from the melon into their pockets.
This is number 4.
All right, number 4 is June Douglas, Brooklyn, Michigan. I don't always understand all of these jokes, you know. I mean, lots of times we have jokes that I don't understand.
I don't believe that.
I mean
think
it.
you're putting me
All
on.
right, 2 guys in heaven.
You don't understand this joke?
No, I was just saying sometimes I don't.
Oh, okay.
2 guys in heaven. One asked the other what he died from. He said he froze to death. How about you? I died from a heart attack. Now, how did that happen? Well, I knew my wife was cheating on me. So one night, I come home early and saw this guy's car in the drive. I ran upstairs, didn't find him. Ran downstairs, didn't find him. In all the excitement of running up downstairs, I died of a heart attack. The other man looked at him and said, if you'd only looked in the deep freeze, we'd both be alive today. This one is
catching,
from,
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Number 5.
This one is from Cecilia Renner, Mount Vernon, Kentucky.
Okay.
There was this country boy who married this girl from the city. So on their wedding night, he got into bed with his overalls still on. When she asked him why he came to bed still dressed, he replied, Pa said we was going to town about 9 o'clock. They were too busy putting the seeds from the melon into their pocket. If you'd only looked in the deep freeze, we'd both be alive today. Pa said we'd be going to town about 9 o'clock.
Well, Minnie, it's by far and away number 4.
Yes, if we looked in the deep freeze, we'd both be alive today. I love all those people. You know, love is very important at Christmas time and all times. We believe in love at Grinder Switch. We think that love is the greatest gift God gave us. Not to be loved, but to love.
Yes, that's beautiful.
That's right.
Thank you. I'm glad you expressed that tonight on the show.
Well, that's what I believe in.
I think people can look at you and read that in you. All right, number 2.
Number 2 is Anna Catherine Hoffman, Bell Camp, Maryland. 2 little boys were playing together, and the first little boy said, I wear a pair of shoes out in a week. And the second little boy said, I wear a pair of jeans out in a day. And the third little boy said, that ain't nothing. I wear my grandma and grandpa out in an hour. The third one is from Bill Reeks, from Cromwell, Kentucky. The judge came home and found his wife in bed with his very best friend. He yelled, what do you think you're doing? See, the wife said to the man beside her, I told you he was stupid. All right, this young married couple was watching the state beauty pageant. As he oohed and awed, the young wife looked at her drooling husband and said, I don't care where you charge your battery as long as you let it run down at home. I wear my grandma and grandpa out in an hour. And they whistle it runs out. Is that what you said? I told you he was stupid. I don't care where you charge your battery as long as you let it run down at home.
All right, now Michael Donegan is over there And he's holding up. We got a tie? All right, tie's all right.
2 and 5?
2 and 5.
Oh,
Number
how
2 and-
interesting.
So we'll send out 2 gift packs.
Now, number 3 is from Mrs. Azine or Azine Rush, Monroe, Louisiana. A traveling salesman saw the sign.
Uh-oh.
The traveling salesman saw the sign, Kosciuszko, Mississippi. That's Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Upon entering the town, not knowing how to pronounce it, he asked the waitress when he stopped to eat, "Tell me real slow where I am." She answered, "Dairy Queen."
Hey, these are pretty good this week.
A traveling salesman.
Wait, this is number 4.
This is number 4
Who's it from?
Nemo McBride. If I pronounce y'all's names wrong, I'm so sorry, but I can't help it.
Nemo?
I spent 3 of the first. What?
Nemo?
Nemo McBride, Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Okay.
A traveling salesman was going through the country and spent the night at a farmhouse. That night for supper they had blackberry pie, and he ate all of it he could until he was ashamed of himself. When they went to bed, he had to sleep in the room with the farmer and his wife. The farmer's wife had taken a liking to the salesman, and during the night she told her husband she heard the mews out in the barn and he'd better see about them. When her husband went out, she told the salesman, now is your chance. So the salesman got up, ate the rest of the blackberry pie. All right, that was number 4?
That didn't go where I thought it was going.
You're going to have to let the preacher work on you.
Was this number 5 coming up?
This is number 5, Jan Malmstrom, 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 from Webster City, Iowa. This is a riddle. Why do Eskimos wash their clothes in Tide?
Well, I don't know, Minnie. Why do Eskimos wash their clothes in Tide?
It's two-toed out Tide. Dairy Queen. Number 4, got up and ate the rest of the blackberry pie.
All right, and number 5 is the riddle.
The riddle, and it is two-toed out Tide.
This is going to be pretty close.
What do you say, Mike? Number 4.
Mike says it's number 4. We thought it was going to be number 2 tonight.
And it was ate the rest of the blackberry pie?
Did that beat number 2?
Dorothy Coffin from Medford, Oregon.
Dorothy Coffin?
Yes,
All
Coffin. From Medford, Oregon. That's for a piece. As he finished his dessert, Mr. Butler remarked, "That was a wonderful meal, dear. Now you said you wanted to discuss something." "Well, the PTA is putting on a potluck supper," Mrs. Butler began. "I thought we might contribute a ham." "But Scarlett," he replied, "we're not made of money." "Oh, Rhett," she whimpered, "then what can we give them?" "Franks, my dear. I won't give a ham."
I like that.
All right. The next one's from Maxine Jackson, Indianapolis, Indiana. 2 men were walking their dogs. One man had a very vicious German Shepherd dog, while the other had a small, funny-looking yellow dog. Upon coming into contact with each, the man with the large dog said to the other man, "You better watch that small dog of yours because my dog will kill it in a minute." "Well," said the man with the small dog, "let's just release their leashes and see what happens." They did, and the small dog immediately bit off the large dog's nose and part of its ear. "My," said the owner of the large dog, "what kind of dog is that?" "Well," replied the man with the small dog, Before I cut off his tail and painted him yellow, he was a crocodile. Mr. Jones was out in his workshop sawing and hammering when his neighbor, Mr. Smith, stopped in. Mr. Smith inquired as to the family's health. Mr. Jones replied, "All okay, except my wife is sick. She has a terrible cold." Mr. Smith remarked, "I'm sorry to hear that. Is that her coughing?" "No," Mr. Jones replied, "no, I was just out here building a little old doghouse." Franks, my dear, I don't give a ham. That's funny. Don't you?
That's my favorite.
All right.
That's my pick.
Number 3. Before I cut off his tail and painted him yellow, he was a crocodile. Number 5. No, I was just out here building a little old doghouse.
Well, Minnie, it looks like number 3 is the winner. And who is number 3?
All right, number 3 is Maxine Jackson from Indianapolis, Minnesota. Oh, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, India. I'm all right.
Minnie,
Can I get a
think,
t-shirt?
yes, I think we should mention why you were limping, because it was obvious you were limping when you came on. You hurt
Yeah,
your foot?
I've got a bad heel, and I thought it was old age, but both of my heels are the same age, and the other one don't hurt me.
I see.
A little boy, you see, I like children's jokes. You found that out, haven't you?
Yes.
I love children. A little boy, and dogs. A little boy, reluctant to go to bed, kept calling his daddy to get him a drink of water. After many times doing this, the father was getting irritated. "If you call out for one more drink of water one more time, I'm going to come up there and give you a whipping. Do you understand me?" The little boy agreed, but after about an hour, he couldn't stand it anymore. He said, "Daddy, when you come up here to give me a whipping, will you bring me a glass of water?" I messed that up. Have you ever done that?
All right.
I beg your pardon, Donna. I didn't mean to.
That's joke number 3.
Number 3.
That was
Number
a t-shirt.
4. Kathy Hall, Carson City, Nevada. You ever been there?
I don't think so.
Oh, I've been to Carson City. I never will forget it. I played Reno with Roy Acuff back in, I don't know when it was. I have pictures of us. We looked so young, me and Roy.
When were you in Carson City with Roy?
We played Reno.
Oh, in Reno you played
Harris
with him.
in Reno.
Oh, that's a
It
big
was
club.
fun,
I've been to
yeah.
Harris.
And so we had pictures made just for that, and I have one hanging on my wall. And Roy is so, he's young at heart now, though. He's great. 2 women who had once been neighbors met on the street after not seeing each other for several years. "My," said one, "I would have hardly known you. You look so much older." "I wouldn't have recognized you either," said the other, "except for your hat and dress." And she went in a restaurant and ordered milk, and they served it in a saucer. Number 5, Mrs. Dorothy Fuller, Bossier City, Louisiana.
Across the river from Shreveport.
You better bet your bloomers. All right.
I haven't got any bloomers, Minnie.
Well, that's all right. We'll talk about that later. The man had been listening for a long time to his young grandson practicing the violin. With every scratch and squeak, the little boy, I love it, the boy's dog howled dismally. Finally, the grandfather asked, "Son, can't you play something the dog doesn't know?" Number 3, when you come up to give me a whipping, will you bring me a glass of water?
Number 4?
I wouldn't have recognized you either, except for your hat and dress.
And number 5.
Can't you play something the dog doesn't know?
All right, I read number 3. How about it, Michael? Oh, we're going to have a
4 and 3
tie
were
tonight?
close.
We've never had a tie.
This one is sent in by Robin Sadler in Alliance, Nebraska. I've worked there, did a fair, did 65 in one season. That's the reason I look like I do. A farmer was teaching his wife to drive their pickup so she could do some of the driving chores. She seemed to be doing fine, so he sat silently and observed. The dirt road they were on was ending, and as they came up to a stretch of blacktop, she shoved the gear shift lever, and the pickup crunched to a sudden stop. Crawling out from beneath the dashboard, the man asked, "What in the world did you do?" "I just shifted gears," she answered. "With an automatic transmission?" he asked. "Sure. I just shifted from D for dirt to P for pavement."
All right, this is number 3.
This is number 3. This woman was in a hurry dressing for work. She asked her husband to pull the zipper in the back of her dress. In doing so, he pinched her with the zipper and thought it was a big joke. She was very annoyed, and all day long she thought of ways to get even. When she got home, he was working under the car. She smiled and bent down and pulled his trousers zipper a few times. Laughing, she went into the house, and lo and behold, her husband was in the kitchen. She said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I'm waiting for the mechanic to finish with the car." That's it. A man walked into a public place with both ears bandaged. Naturally, somebody had to ask why. He explained, "Well, I was watching the ball game on TV, and my wife was ironing nearby. She left for a moment and placed the iron on the board, and the phone rang. I grabbed the hot iron and put it to my ear, thinking it was a telephone. But what happened to the other ear? Well, I hadn't even more hung up than the command called back again." D for dirt, P for pavement. The third one was, "I'm waiting for the mechanic to finish." And number 5, the man called back.
Mike, as I read that, and you can confirm, I believe number 3. Is that right? Number 3.
Number 3. That was. Okay, now, Mrs. A. Medore of Forestville, Connecticut, won the prize tonight.
All right, she won the basket of goodies that we're going to send her.
This is from Russell R. Fisher, Vandalia, Illinois. A man was seated in the doctor's office one afternoon when an 85-year-old woman went screaming and running out of the office door. When the man went in to see the doctor, he asked what the old lady's problem was. The doctor said, "I told her she was going to have a baby." "Well, is she?" the man asked. "No," the doctor replied, "but it sure cured her hiccups."
All right, Minnie, I think we're up to number 4.
Number 4 is from Gertrude Langford, Orlando, Florida. The frugal farmer thought the doctor's fee for delivering a baby was too high, and since he had been around farm animals so long, he could just deliver his own child. Delivery day came, and everything was going great. And as he congratulated on such a fine job, another baby presented itself. And then another. And then another. At this point, he hurriedly called the doctor, saying, "Doctor, come quick. I'll pay you anything you ask. Just help me shut this off." Now, this is number 5. This is from Adele Brandt in Palmer, Ohio. And she says, "Love you, Minnie, Ralph, and the gang, and love Nashville Now, all the shows." She says, "An elderly lady from an old ladies' home was going on a date with an elderly gentleman from a nearby old man's home. Of course, now, I don't mean to tip on these things. You know, I don't mean to tip that I think they're funnier than funny. Than others.
Oh, we understand.
But I think they're funny, and I laugh. An elderly lady from an old... I laugh anyway. I like to laugh. I look in the mirror quite often. An elderly lady from an old ladies' home was going out on a date with an elderly gentleman from a nearby old man's home. Of course, her friends were very excited and told her that they would wait up for her and find out what kind of time she and her date had. When she arrived home, quite late, in fact, they gathered all around her and asked her questions about her date. She told them that it was enjoyable, but that she had to slap his face 3 times.
Oh, my.
Then they wanted to know why she had to do that. And what happened? That's just it, she said. Nothing happened. I had to slap him 3 times just to make sure he was alive. I had to slap him 3 times just to make sure he was alive. You remember Tim Conway when he used to do that old man?
Yes.
And he'd go to sleep, you know.
Oh,
I got a friend that does that on an elevator. It just embarrasses me to death. You start in a hotel elevator, and this idiot will start like he's asleep. You know, he'll stand against the back of the elevator and say, and people look around, but they look at me. Third one is, but it sure cured the hiccups.
Okay.
And the 4th one is, just help me shut this off.
One more, Minnie.
I told you, Mike. Mike and I, he's the one that works with me on this, and we have little bets we don't really pay off. We just kid. But we were friends. Well, anyway.
Got one more.
5. Slap him 3 times to see if he was alive.
Well, Minnie, I believe it's number 4 all the way tonight. Who sent us number 4?
All right, now that's what I wanted to do because somebody told me the other day that loved this part of the show and said that we didn't make it clear for the people in her hometown. Or, you know, I don't believe we've had a man win yet, have we?
I don't know.
Well, men are pretty funny. I married one that's pretty funny. Do you know that? I will have to sing sooner or later. You know how it is. These people just keep on badgering me and stopping me on the street and saying, when are you going to sing?
Are you going to sing tonight?
No, I'm not going to sing tonight. I have to get with the band. They have...
I'll give them a little shot anyway.
Give me a C. My feller ain't the kind that's tall and handsome. Yeah, I like that. He's just as ordinary as can be. He can't sing and he can't dance, but he wears a pair of pants, and that's good enough for me.